Good morning, Clover High School. This is Mr. Ruth, your principal. This morning, we're going to take a little bit of time to review the Clover High School Student Handbook for the 2020-2021 school year. We will not go over every single page, but every page can be found on the school's website, so I encourage you to check it out. Let's talk about a few elements. Early on in the handbook, you'll notice that we have a different regular bell schedule this year with students starting instruction at 9 o'clock p.m. Again, we ask that you not arrive prior to 8:30, and you'll see from our bell schedule here, it looks a little bit different from last year. We will not have flex time during the school day this year, but instead, we will have Flex Fridays. So Fridays are an opportunity, much like Flex in the past, to do makeup work, to get remediation, to meet in groups. And so Friday, you'll see the bell schedule that we have for most Fridays during the school year. The exception to this is when our A-Day students are off on a Monday. A-Day students will then report on Wednesday and Friday of that week, and we will follow the same schedule that we do Monday through Thursday of that week. So we will not have a shortened day on those weeks that A-Day students are coming on Wednesday and Friday. As I mentioned previously, I'm Mr. Ruth, the principal here at Clover High School. Ms. Boland is our Director of Career and Technology Education. Ms. Wolford works with our teachers as the Dean of Curriculum and Instruction. We have a work-based learning coordinator in Ms. Starnes. Ms. Jolly is new to us as the Testing and 504 coordinator, and many of you know Coach Jackson, who serves as our athletic director. I want to take a few moments to talk about the student support team structure that we have at Clover High School. When you enter Clover High School as a 10th grader, based off your last name, you are assigned a student support team. And you'll keep this support team in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And you can see from this that if your last name begins with A through E, your administrator will be Ms. Green, who's new to us this year. We have counselors assigned to this alphabet range as well, and they're split up between A through E. And then we have a social worker assigned through this. Students, I want to spend a little bit of time on this because this is a very unique model and something we're very proud of. If you're having issues at school, we want you to feel comfortable saying something to someone if you have an issue. If you have an issue with a student, if you have an issue where you're having a tough time keeping up in class, we don't want you to remain silent about that. We want to know. And these are the folks that you would go to based off your last name. Now, obviously, I encourage you to utilize those adults in the building that you feel close to. So it could be a coach, it could be a different teacher that you feel close confiding in. We ask that if you're having issues, that you let a teacher know, and those teachers can work with this student support team model in order to meet your needs. Again, very, very important to me that our students don't feel like they're in this thing alone, and that they have a structure there to help them. That's how we use the student support team. Next in the student handbook, we have a section called What Do I Do If? And really the purpose behind this is to answer any questions you may have. It specifically gives you some directions and the folks that you'll need to go to in order to answer those questions. So a What Do I Do If section is very important in our handbook. We're on a hybrid schedule this year, which makes attendance very interesting. We still expect students to report either through e-learning or face-to-face on the days they're assigned. And so in our e-learning platform, we have an embedded question so that you are sure to log in on your e-learning days and that you're here on your face-to-face days so that you do not fall behind. If you have questions about grading, there is an academic section of the handbook that outlines our grading practices. Last year, we introduced for our senior class a senior exam exemption policy. We'll continue with that this year. That's why it's so important to log on your e-learning day so you can keep your attendance stellar, get that grade where it needs to be, and we look forward to having our seniors exempt some of their exams. It takes a little work, but we hope that you make it. Obviously, there are some exceptions to those exemption rules, and you'll see them at the bottom. Clover High School and Clover School District has instituted a no visitor policy this year, so please keep that in mind if you anticipate having visitors at school. In a typical school year, our early graduates would not be permitted to purchase a prom ticket. They could go with a guest to the prom. This year, because many of our juniors lost the ability to go to the prom last year. We are going to open it up for early grads to be able to purchase tickets this year for the prom like we had in the past. Students, please do a good job keeping up with your textbooks, our seniors especially, as we hold you from the graduation processional if you have fines, and we don't want a single student to be in that situation. That's why it's so important that you turn in those textbooks. Textbooks seem to be the thing that hold the most folks back, so there's some privileges you have at Clover High School that you lose if you don't get those textbooks in. I'd like to spend a little bit of time on this particular issue, off-campus conduct. Students should be aware that the district may take disciplinary action for conduct initiated and or created off campus involving the inappropriate use of the internet or web-based resources if such conduct poses a threat or substantially interferes or disrupts the work and discipline of the schools, including discipline for student harassment and bullying. So what I'm talking about here is the use of social media or the use of the internet in general to used inappropriately. And so what I would love this year is that we don't have a single student that uses their platform on the internet in order to be divisive, inappropriate, or offensive to others. And so we're going to be responsible, Blue Eagle Nation, in that regard. Students, you need to be very cognizant that students will sometimes really just want to blow off steam, and they may think it's a joke or it's funny to post something online thinking that only a few folks will see it. And that is not the case. And so if you're upset with someone and you use threatening language, if you make threats toward the school or through students on social media, that interferes with our school day, and we need to deal with that. Students, think very, very carefully about that. Think about the message that you want to send out through your social media presence. And just remember that those things can fall under the jurisdiction of the school and the district. Our tardy policy is still in effect, and you can see it on these pages, so be sure you're arriving to school on time. This year, our staff and students are going to be made aware of the safety pledge called Clover Cares, committing and respecting everyone's safety. So we ask some things here at Clover High School. And you'll see most of these things in the other video that you'll watch today. In that face coverings must be worn while moving through the building. If social distancing of 6 feet cannot be observed. So in the hallways, at arrival, at dismissal, anytime you're out and about in the school, your mask is on. Only at the direction of a staff member does your mask come down. You'll see other things here that are reminders, and most of these things will be discussed in our secondary video. There's a dedicated section in the Student Handbook that addresses student behavior code levels and the code of conduct here at Clover High School. You'll see in Level 1, this is disorderly conduct. This is stuff that can happen in the classroom or impedes the instructional activities within the school day. We move from disorderly conduct to disruptive conduct, and those may be of a more serious nature if they're Level 2. And so the consequences get bumped up for these offenses as well. You could also have just a combination or a large number of Level 1 offenses that may rise to the threshold of Level 2. Level 3 conduct is criminal in nature, and so you certainly do not want to commit offense in Level 3. One I'll say that we see way too often among young folks nowadays, and this is across multiple schools, is they'll grow upset with someone at school and they will, without thinking, fire off something on their social media page that is threatening in nature. And that falls typically under our Level 3 criminal activity. Do not do that. Think very carefully before you go home and you say, I'm very frustrated with this and I'm going to post something on purpose that just captures the attention of those that read it. Be very careful with that. There's a portion of our handbook dedicated to the school board policies involving harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And we ask that you speak up and let us know when any of these things may happen at school, because we would like to deal with them swiftly. New to the Student Handbook this year is a section that deals with infractions related to the following: Language, behavior, or disrespect which demeans, insults, incites, or is inflammatory to others based on race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, or religion. In Blue Eagle Nation at Clover High School, we are not going to engage in language or behavior that does disrespect others based off these categories. It cannot happen. And so that can show itself in many ways. It can be language, it can be behavior, it can be in what we choose to wear, it can be in what we choose to put on a mask. We need to be very cognizant of this. It can be what we post on social media. I have extremely high expectations for Clover High School, and I expect our students to set the example for the rest of the country. We need to show those on the outside that within the doors of Clover High School, we know how to make this thing work. So we are not going to use language behavior that disrespects others based off these categories. Can't happen, and my expectations will not lower from that. Quite obviously, alcohol and drug use still prohibited by board policy, and we will give appropriate consequences when we see that. Tobacco use, we've obviously seen an increase in vaping and things like that over the last few years. Students, do not partake in that. One, it's just extremely damaging to your body, but it sets you on a path that you don't want to be on. So no tobacco use, drug use, alcohol for our students. Weapons are not allowed at school in any form or fashion. Sometimes in high schools across the country, you will see incidents where there are weapons found in vehicles, and the excuse of, I forgot that it was there, or I wasn't thinking about it over the weekend. Don't put yourself into that category. No weapons at school. I made mention earlier about the criminal nature of making threats to our school, to our students, and to our staff. And so those that feel like it may be a joke or want to try to elicit some kind of response from folks through social media or in person that make threats against our school will be dealt with. So students, don't put yourself in that category. We have a section of the Student Handbook that deals with dress code, and I encourage you to read through that. I won't go through every element of it, but obviously this year, one thing that stands out to me is the use of masks. And I do not want masks to be used as an instrument to be divisive or to be insulting to others. So let's be very cognizant of masks. Students, you're going to get some masks from your homeroom teachers. And I encourage you, if you want to put your name on those, but to write messages on those masks that are purposefully trying to incite disturbances at school, we ask that you not do that. Again, my expectations are through the roof for the students here, and we need to work together to make this the best year we possibly can. Obviously, I didn't work through every page of the Student Handbook, although I want you to take time to go to our school website and view it for yourself, and be sure that you are aware and knowledgeable about all the contents in our Student Handbook, and we look forward to an unbelievable year in Blue Eagle Nation. Thank you.